Views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. The hosts make no claim to be literary experts, and their opinions are exactly that, opinions. All creative works discussed or reviewed are the intellectual property of the creators of said stories, and is being used under the fair use doctrine.
Hello and welcome to Of Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantasy stories. I'm one of your hosts, Mari, and with me I have Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly. We also have Ashley.
Hey guys, it's Ashley. We also have Jonathan.
Hey, it's JP. What's good, everyone?
That was mellow for you.
I tried.
Are you tired?
Potentially.
Well, today we're going to be discussing the 1999 film Dogma. But first, as always, some news. We've got a few things today. First off is that Acrylopix is doing a special edition version of Abigail Owen's Games Gods Play. And it's really pretty.
So pretty.
It really is. It's a three-sided digitally printed pages. It's got gold foiled dust jackets. It's all done by the Acrylopix artist, Molly. Yeah, the pictures look really pretty.
I'm so happy for her.
I know.
She works really hard.
Oh,
My
Abigail?
God.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. She's sparkly.
She's sparkly and she's hard working for sure.
I'm going to make her like one of those bookmark.
Don't tell her.
Oh, well, she can know. I'm going to make her one of those bookmark purses, like, kind of thing. And I had ordered like this very gold sparkly shoulder strap for her.
Oh, that's cute. That's
she likes sparkly things. She always wears those like shiny sequin tops and stuff to events.
Is she going to be at Romantasy this year? I haven't looked through all the
so.
authors.
I think so, yes.
All the authors.
I think yes.
Oh, good. That'd be good. Good to see her again. So, okay. The other news bit I have is that Frankenstein is getting the Mina Lima treatment, and I'm so excited for this. I've been wanting a new special edition Frankenstein because the one I have is, I don't know, like 15 years old, and I've read it a lot and it's just falling apart. So Mina Lima is a design duo. It's Mirafona, Mina, and Eduardo Lima. They're a design team, and they did all the graphic stuff. They were famous for doing all the graphic stuff for the Harry Potter movies. But they do really, really good versions of like classic books. So they've done like Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz, Sleeping Beauty, Peter Pan. And they take them and they're like, I don't know, they're like some of the fanciest pop-up books I've seen. So they're like beautifully illustrated, but then they also have like pop-up elements and like things where you twist or you turn. Very interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do for Frankenstein. So it's going to come out October 28th of this year. They described it as having illustrations, 7 interactive paper engineered elements, and enthralling design details on every page. If you pre-order it from their website, which is in the UK, so you're going to pay more, but if you pre-order it from there, you get a signed version by them, and they are including a printed image that's only going to be available if you pre-order the book. It's like Frankenstein's Laboratory or whatever. Yeah, I may have pre-ordered it today.
May have?
I did. So, spoiler alert. I did.
What does it add to it in terms of, because getting it to the US, what does that add to the price? Just curious.
I think the whole thing, when you convert everything over and when you add, I think it was like around $50.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad, especially for what you get.
Yeah, I think the price on there is like 30-something pounds. So if you're in the UK, obviously it's cheaper. I know that Mina Lima also has several like interactive stores you can go in. There's one in Scotland, one in London. I want to say there's one in New York. I'm not 100% sure. One somewhere else. I want to say Tokyo, but I may be wrong. But they do have like these stores. They're like museums / stores / art gallery. And if you're going to one of those, or if you live close to one of those, you could probably get it without the shipping costs. I don't know if they would include that image though. the pre-order image.
I didn't know they had like other stores.
Yes. So the London one was the first one, and then Scotland came not too long after. I want to say I heard something about New York, but I may be imagining that. Look on their website. I don't want to steer anybody wrong,
That's
but
fair.
I thought they had 2 other ones outside of like the UK. But yeah, they do really beautiful work. If they also have like posters and prints you can buy. So like if anyone is decorating a nursery, they do like, you know, like a gaggle of geese or like a herd of horses. Like they do this whole series of things that it's like a group of things, and they have these really pretty illustrations for it. It's really cute for like a kid's room or a nursery, I think.
They really are so talented.
Yeah.
It's really some of the most beautiful artwork that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. If you ever get the chance, like if they're ever at any event that you go to, if you ever get the chance to meet them, they're also very, very nice and very sweet. I met them.
They were at City Walk not too long ago, weren't they?
Yeah, they not randomly, I guess. They do come to events, and if you follow them, it'll say when, but it's like, it's also, I don't know. It seems like most of the time they come, it's not part of any big event. It's not like part of a con or something like that.
Right.
So you just have to be like, oh, I guess I'm going to go to Orlando to see them specifically, you know, if I happen to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do really pretty, really, really good work. The last 2 little bits I have is I'm on Leah Bardugo's newsletter, and she released a little book teaser thing that the 3rd book in the 9th House series, which the first one was 9th House, the second one was Hellbent. So the 3rd one in that series is coming out in fall of next year. It doesn't have a title yet. It doesn't have an exact release date yet, but it is coming out. Which is it's a good series. It's kind of a dark academia, I would describe it as. It's got a little bit of magic vibes, but it's mainly dark academia. Has anybody else read those other than me?
I think I tried the audiobook and I just couldn't. I don't think I got very far, but I want to. It's on my TBR.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely very dark academia. Like some dark academia kind of also has like fantasy vibes or steampunk or a crossover. It felt very much like squarely in the dark academia genre. And the main character is not my favorite, and I think that can make it a little difficult too. But I ended up liking the story overall, the direction she took it. So I'm curious to see where the third one's going. The last little snippet I have of news is from Senlin Yu's email newsletter thing. They released a prologue teaser snippet from Alchemize. Like it just came out today. So it's on the little snippets on Instagram as well, but the bigger part of the prologue is on the newsletter. So I'm going to read the snippet that they put on Instagram. Helena wondered sometimes if she still had eyes. The darkness surrounding her never ended. She thought at first if she waited long enough, some glimmer of light would appear, or someone would come. Yet no matter how long she waited, there was nothing. Just endless dark.
I immediately teared up right now.
I know.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you the full prologue thing she put on the newsletter. Yeah. So that was exciting. It's getting more and more
destroyed.
official. Yeah.
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 That's rough. I feel rough already. Shit. Damn.
Yeah. So very much looking forward to being destroyed again, I guess, by that book.
Isn't that such an interesting feeling? Like you're just, that this book is going to destroy you and you can't wait for it still.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just really curious how she's going to rework it. Like I really want to see how she changes it, how she makes it her own. So
that's a tall order because it is a beloved series.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any news tidbits?
Yep. So just the news, the story, I guess, has been bubbling for a day or two, but just now published on a news site that the author Lena MacDonald, who wrote Dark Hollow Academy, apparently her new book, Dark Hollow Academy Year 2, that just dropped, had a AI prompt in it
Ooh.
that would indicate that she was using AI to edit her book. And the AI prompt says, passage rewritten to align more with Jay Bree's style. For more tension, gritty undertones, and raw emotional subtext beneath the supernatural elements.
Oh, no.
So that's exactly the prompt you would get if you put a bunch of text into an AI, into OpenAI, and said, rewrite this to match it to whatever author style, or rewrite this to match it with whatever. The book has already been updated on Kindle since it was e-published, and that passage removed, but there's already a lot of backlash, as you can imagine.
How crazy.
Yeah, so McDonald, who publishes under the name, I guess, Sienna Patterson.
Interesting. It's getting
Kelly
caught
coming with the tea
with your
today.
hand in the cookie jar.
Damn.
So this is becoming a problem in academia, which is where I've been kind of seeing it, is that some of the stuff I do tangentially that's related to academia, we've all had to sign agreements saying that we will not use AI to do any of this work for creating test banks.
What does it get you? Like, are you like, does it get you like, it's just people trying to get the grades up? Is that what's happening?
I mean, I don't know why people are using it in academia. I guess it's to help them write papers.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the obvious thing. I mean, there's been, no shortage of people willing to take money to write papers for people since
academia existed.
Since academia existed. But AI now makes it so much easier. And so it's becoming a pretty big problem in academia.
I heard somewhere that like teachers are just like, now they're just like, yeah, I mean, like it doesn't make sense to fight it. So instead we'll just use it, but in a different way, like, hey, come write this paper and now let's edit it together and make that the test rather than making the actual writing of the paper the test, and just be like, yeah, we figure y'all probably used AI at some point, but now let's go back and correct AI, because AI is not perfect.
Well, the problem is an author passing an AI piece of work off as their own.
Right.
Yeah. It this goes from like artistry into it twists the use of it as a tool into the artistic representation. Does that make sense? Like it's
yeah. You're putting it out there as if though you're putting the same level of creative spark into it as someone. Yeah, creative spark and effort as someone who birthed a novel wholesale.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like I find it difficult to believe that most authors, especially those who are balling on a budget, like doing e-publish stuff, that they're not using tools to edit.
Well, there's a difference between using Grammarly to edit your grammar and spelling checks, and a difference between using AI to say, I don't like this, rewrite this and make it better.
Put it in the style of Dr. Seuss.
Or I don't know what to do next. What should these characters do next? Or, whatever. I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then add to that the problem that a lot of these AIs have been trained by using artists' work without their permission.
Right.
So it's like theft upon theft.
Well, that's a gray area. I don't think you call it. I think we call it theft because we think of it as like a machine, but we're all inspired by other people.
There's a difference between being inspired and using a machine that compresses all of everything that everyone's ever written and distilled it down.
It's the copy and paste for me.
Yeah.
Like, do better at that point. Just, spin it. Be creative. I get there's a burnout point in the process, and that can be stressful. But to be like word for word for something like that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
If you want to get even with AI, the way to do that is to be polite to AI. It costs them, I forget what the cost is, but the more people thank AI and are just like very like polite and cordial, the more they tell you to just be short and clipped with AI, because it costs them so much money for AI to say thank you, to reply to your kindness. So if you want to get them where it hurts in the pocketbook,
there's a reason there's no good science fiction book where AI is a positive.
Exactly.
I mean, we've all been using AI for decades now. We just didn't know it.
Kelly coming in hot with the tea. Good job, Kelly.
The thing I wonder about is if this one person is caught, how many authors are using it and haven't gotten caught?
Well, and how many
That's the
authors, like
question.
we've talked about before, how many authors are having like mental health breakdowns and things trying to keep up with what they think is the industry standard when really it's people not actually writing books. It's AI. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have people that can churn out a bunch of books a year. And then you have people who are like stressing themselves out to try and compete with unrealistic industry standard. And I put that in air quotes, you know?
I think I heard somewhere that they have to write, like, in order to be a successful and profitable author, you have to have like something like 40 books in print somewhere in order to live off of that stuff. Can you like, the stress of getting one out?
Right. I can't imagine writing one.
Well? Right. It's hard enough to read one for me, right? So it's like, dang, you know, like, and how do you? I did hear that a lot of times, like we were at some of those panels, I think last year, when authors were saying things like they stop reading while they're writing so that they're not accidentally influenced.
Right.
I can't imagine doing that, because like there are times where like I'll have an idea for something and I'll be like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then Google it and you're like, that's been out for.
I mean, there's always going to be
years.
creative Yahtzee. I mean, that's just a part of the creative process where you think of something that's an original thought for you, but somebody's already done it or done something similar to it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because somebody's done something similar doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't worthwhile. Like, how many versions of Pride and Prejudice and retellings of Pride and Prejudice exist in the world right now? Like, I don't know. I probably have 20 in our house. You know, like they're just some things are some ideas and some things are worth repeating for the learning process and for putting your own spin on it. And I think that's something that carries over from different kind of creative pursuits, like visual artists, you know, back in the day painting, you would have the people who were learning. People, I didn't go to art school, but my understanding is a lot of times when you're learning in art school, you do copy the masters. You learn how to, you know, try and recreate the different masters and the different works. And also like, try and draw this in, you know, Picasso style, try and draw this in Van Gogh style to stretch your creative muscles. So there's something to be said for using what exists before you to create something new. But I think that human element is still necessary to make it good.
What was that movie with Robin Williams where he was like a robot, and then progressively as the movie went on,
Bicentennial Man.
That's it. He became more and more until he actually was a human. It's interesting. What a world we live in, that if you would have asked me when I was a kid, like what I would have been like, yeah, we're going to have flying cars. We're going to be talking about the danger of slipping back into the dark ages, but also have this very powerful, everything I own is connected to the internet kind of situation that we're living in. It's just wild.
Agreed. Any other news?
Walk around with a supercomputer in my pocket all day.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that the app updated for, what is it called? Guidebook,
yeah. For Romanticon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you can download the guidebook app and you can download and see like the schedule of things. Although I think it'll be like last year where they're still kind of finalizing it and we'll be tweaking things, because it won't be till I believe August 1st is when you can actually sign up for things, like sign up for panels and tickets and whatnot. So I believe there'll be changes up until then. But yeah, you can look and see who the ticketed authors are, more or less, the panels and the map of the hotel, like where things are going to be laid out. And you can filter out the things that are available for you to do based off the ticket level that you bought. And you can like contact people and friend them. It's a good little app. So if anyone's thinking of going, I would absolutely download that app and, you know, get familiar with it before August 1st if you're wanting to try and get into anything.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, last year And, last year was a totally different story than this year because there wasn't as many huge name people, I don't think, as this year. But I know last year there was 1 or 2 panels that I had wanted to go into that were full on the app. And yet when the panel was had started or right before starting, they last minute let people in because there was enough space. So people who had maybe gotten tickets for it or whatever ended up not going. So there were empty spots available for it. So just because you may not get into a panel, this is different from a ticketed author signing situation. But if there's a panel you want to go to and you're not able to get into it and it's one you really, really want to go to, I would still go and stand in line. And after they let everybody in, if they're still letting other people in, you might be able to get in. It's not guaranteed,
Good pro tip.
All right, any other news tidbits?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, so we watched Dogma as our story that we're going to be talking about this episode. I'm going to read the synopsis, and then we can get into our talk about it. So this is from IMDb. 2 fallen angels who were ejected from paradise find themselves banned in Wisconsin. They're now headed for New Jersey, where they find a loophole that can get them back into heaven. The only catch is that it will destroy humanity. A group bands together to stop them.
That's the synopsis?
That's the IMDb synopsis.
What?
I mean, technically it's true.
Yeah, no, there's so much more to that story.
Yeah. I couldn't find any sort of official synopsis, official blurbs. There's a long plot synopsis. You could find the whole breakdown of the movie, but I'm no,
right.
Nobody needs to be reading all that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I don't think I had watched this movie since probably when it first came out, or very close to when it first came out, since the 90s for sure. It was the last time I watched this movie. But I watched it again last night for the first time in 20-something years.
We've definitely watched it in the past decade, but it had been long enough that we were first thing we did was look for it to stream, and then we were
it's not available anywhere.
Yeah. So then we were we knew we owned it, so I had to find the DVD folder that I had, it was stuffed in a corner somewhere, and I was like, oh, I got it. Yeah, I have it right here. And then I walked out to the living room, and I was like, oh, where am I going to put it in? How are we going to? So I was like, do we have to go buy a DVD player? We might as well just stream this thing anyway. And then I lifted up one of the coffee tables that lifts up, and inside there is where I keep the projector. And underneath that, apparently what I used previously to hold the projector at the correct height was the DVD player. So so I was like, let me get my projector riser box out. And I got that out, and I was like, oh, I got to plug this in, plugged it in. I was like, the next fear was, do I have a remote to operate this DVD player? Thankfully, I did such a good job that everything was where it was supposed to be. And we were able to watch it.
Nice. Now, do you guys know why it's not streaming anywhere?
Fucking Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
You don't know this story?
I don't know this. No,
What
tell me this story.
Wow.
I've
Come on, Kelly.
I've impressed Kelly.
No, go ahead, Maury.
Me? Okay, so I didn't research it fully I figured somebody else would know, but here's what I know about it.
Oh, fuck.
So Weinstein owns the rights to it. And Weinstein approached Kevin Smith, the director and writer, and son of Bob, approached him to do a sequel. And I think this is my understanding, and they were like, no. And then that's apparently right around the time where everything was coming out about Weinstein. And I don't know if he was actually approaching for this. I don't know if there's something beef between Smith and Weinstein. But Kevin Smith said something about he thought that this was about the time that Weinstein was trying to figure out who was ratting on him. Basically, Weinstein pulled it for everybody that you're never going to make a sequel. You're never going to get any money from it. It's never going to be streaming anywhere. Yeah, Weinstein basically had the rights to this. I don't know what the legal situation is now. But they had the rights to it, which is why it's not streaming anywhere. So if you don't have the physical media for this, you're not watching it.
Wow. I was surprised.
An added layer to that, the Weinstein thing, we're not going to get into here, but it's horrendous sexual assaults, abuse of power situations. I forget her name, the main actress who played Bethany in this movie, her name is
Linda
Linda
Fiorentino.
Fiorentino. Yeah, Fiorentino. Like at the time, she was basically not blacklisted, but she was like talked about as being very difficult to work with, which is apparently an MO that Weinstein did whenever someone didn't go along with what he wanted them to do. He would like defame them for being a difficult, usually actress to be with if they wouldn't do whatever he wanted them to do sexually. And so, yeah, apparently her career suffered for that to the point where after Kevin Smith had his heart attack and Fiorentino, like, I don't know, she sent him flowers or something. I don't know. She reached out to him. He like did some sort of a public apology for the way she was treated during that time, so she was treated that way. And the movie posters, the official movie posters for Dogma, or some of the official movie stuff that got released for Dogma, the pictures and all, didn't use her body. It used a bustier version, another actress with bigger boobs, and they put her head on it. Yeah. And she was like, that is not cool. I did not give permission for that.
Right.
This was the 90s. Nobody cared. And she was just labeled as this difficult actress, and it affected the rest of her career for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the good news is that on his podcast a few months ago, Kevin Smith said that he has got Dogma out from underneath Harvey Weinstein's production company.
Good.
So it is out of that company now, and it's in a new company. And now he's trying to go through the legal hoops to be able to finally release it. So
that must be why he's able to release it in the theaters, right? For the anniversary.
Right.
So I heard basically the same interview, Mari, that I think you probably saw, if I didn't already send it to you guys. I'd seen basically the same thing, that, Kevin would reach out to Harvey Weinstein's people every, 5-10 years and be like, hey, there's this anniversary, we should do something. And he'd never hear back. And then right before the big news story dropped outing Weinstein, he did call Kevin and allegedly pretended that he wanted to do an anniversary thing for Dogma. And the feedback that Kevin got after that was that Harvey was like feeling him out to see if he was part of the quote leak, is what I remember. And that, Weinstein was basically yanking his chain. He was never gonna, do anything for Dogma. He was just trying to save his own ass.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's a wild story.
Yeah. Another layer that I thought was interesting that I learned, not 100% related to that, but when I was looking the stuff up about Linda Fiorentino, apparently she wasn't the first pick of who Kevin Smith wanted for this. They wanted Gillian Anderson, Scully from The X-Files, to play that role.
See that. I can see that.
I love her so much. I literally have her tattooed on my bicep.
Right.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure. I thought there was maybe some artwork there.
Yes. I met her. She's amazing. I love her.
Yeah.
She's also teeny tiny.
Sure. Well, and I can see they're spoofing things, right?
Yes.
So I can see how and why they would want her for that role. That fits.
Right. Especially you think the 90s when X-Files was still hot, and the character Scully was this, lapsed, faithful person, occasionally lapsed, occasionally faithful, and yet a skeptic when it came to the Mulder stuff. It would have been a really interesting crossover. But apparently Gillian hated the script. So she said, no, thank you.
Jillian.
Well, no. All that being said, what did we think of the movie overall rating?
Do you want me to go first? This was a 5 for me, and I don't have any logic behind it. I love this movie. I used to know it line by line. Probably, watching it, this is the first time we've watched it as an adult, right? Because 10 years ago, I was not an adult. But, in the level, at the level, just because genetically the United States says I was adult does not mean mentally or emotionally I was. The level at which I had this movie memorized as a teenager is probably unhealthy. In 1999, I would have been 12. So 13, 14, 15, I had this movie memorized. My parents should have been watching a lot closer. All of that to say, it was a hysterical movie to me. And I think it gives you I think you laugh. I think there are probably a handful of things that didn't age well. But that tracks for the 90s, right? And I was thoroughly entertained rewatching this movie. I would watch it again.
I love this movie.
You love this movie?
Yeah, I like that it challenges the status quo for what was my childhood. So the moment I got to sit down and watch this movie, I was like, yeah, I've been telling y'all about like how dumb this stuff is.
It validated you.
Yeah, it validated me. I thought it was great. I thought it was like, it showed like, you know, what was the card? Was it Cardinal Glick or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
George.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, that was like Monsignor. You know, I won't drop his name, but it was just like, yeah, like that's it's exactly the way I envision these people being. Like, maybe they worship, but they were like, let's make a buck. So it was validating when that film came out for me, and I appreciate it. 5 stars.
What do you think, Kelly?
This is probably Kevin Smith's best movie. I think overall this movie had everything going right for it. It had good comedic timing. It had a good script. It had a funny concept. Everything seemed to work for it. So I would really have to say that this is like a 4.5.
Okay.
It's probably one of the best movies to sort of poke fun at Catholicism without going over the line of being like insulting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only movie that maybe does it slightly better would be the 80s movie Heaven Help Us, which is a little bit more about growing up in like a Catholic school. So it's pokes a little bit more fun of Catholicism from that direction. And Heaven Help Us, of course, is a classic because it was like the film debut of a lot of young actors who would become more prominent later. So you had like young Andrew McCarthy, young Kevin Dillon, young Patrick Dempsey. You had an appearance by Wallace Shawn. You had Donald Sutherland as a guest appearance. So it was a lot of big names, a lot of actors who would go on to become big names.
Nice.
Okay. For me, I didn't think it was as good as I remembered it being. I don't know if I built it up in my head because I remember liking it. I remember thinking it had some really interesting, cool, thought-provoking things. I also remember it being this big, like, act of rebellion to watch it because I was detransitioning out of the Catholic Church stuff kind of around that time. And like, it was this whole like, oh, don't watch this, you know, it's a bad movie or whatever. So then when I rewatched it last night, I was like, for me, it wasn't as funny as I remembered. It wasn't as edgy as I remembered. I wasn't impressed with the acting. Like, even people I knew are good actors, like Alan Rickman, love. And I was just like, even Alan Rickman's performance was not doing it for me. So I don't know if it's because, I don't know if it's because I built it up in my head. I don't know. For me, it was a 3. It was just not as good as I remembered it being. It was fine.
I would like to state for the record, I didn't say that this was amazing acting by any shape or form.
There was no Oscar performances here.
No.
I mean, Alan Rickman was doing his best.
He was.
He really did. He put his all in there, and he didn't have to. And everybody should appreciate that all for the more.
Did you guys see the thing that, was it Jay? The guy who plays Jay was like, put all this hardcore effort into memorizing lines and everything because he didn't want to disappoint Alan Rickman in this movie.
I did not.
Yeah, he was like hardcore. He memorized other people's lines, everything, because he didn't want to disappoint Alan Rickman.
Stop it. That makes me love him more.
Yeah.
The thing about this movie, I mean, there's a lot of things about this movie that don't really age well just because there's a lot of jokes that are in the moment of the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that wouldn't work now. You know, everybody has a cell phone now. That wasn't the case when this movie was made. You know, things like that. There was some self-referential culture humor, like Matt Damon's, singing the Martin theme song.
Yeah.
Like,
Whose house?
right. If you are not someone who grew up in this time period or watched that show or knew about that show, that would be completely lost on you.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Dogma was released? The story when Kevin Smith protested against his own movie.
Yeah.
That was funny.
And I just thought it was cute.
Yeah.
Isn't that how Jay and Silent Bob came to be? Like Strike Back?
Yeah. That was kind of the plot line for that movie.
That's the entire plot line for that movie. But I didn't know it was an actual protest.
Right.
Oh, he was, I guess was debuting in like.
Yeah, there was a group of protesters, Catholic protesters, and so he went and made his own sign and joined them.
Yeah.
And I think he even got interviewed.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
They're like, we think we know this guy. Let's interview him.
I love this. If I knew about it, I forgot it. That makes it better. Because then it created Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Or Jay and Bob. Yeah, that's what it is, right? Strike Back. That's the first one.
But there's just so many things about this movie that are just hilarious concepts. The Buddy Christ. That very concept itself is hilarious.
Yeah. Rebranding. Yeah.
What is it? Catholicism. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised the Catholic Church hasn't tried that.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were probably like, that bastard stole our idea.
It is a solid idea.
We got to wait
get
another 30
action
years.
figures.
We don't want to get sued by Kevin Smith. And then they tried to off him, right, by giving him all the carbs and the fatty foods. And he's like, fuck you guys, I'm sticking around.
Good times. No, I thought it was. I did think that was a great concept. As I was watching, I was like, it makes a whole bunch of sense.
Rebranding.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of cool brand work going for them. They got the lowercase letter T and that guy.
The one guy.
Yeah, they got that. They got all those holidays, so that's going good. So yeah, they could use a rebrand.
They did rebrand all those holidays from other cultures, didn't they?
They did.
They're good at rebranding.
I mean, this could be a good move for Pope Bob. That's he's young, fresh, right out of the Chi-Town. He can make it happen for him.
We got hopes for you, Bob.
Yeah, Pope Leo, if you're out there listening, we're all for. I think Kelly's for the Buddy Christ. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not real deep in going to church myself, but Pope Leo, if you hear this and you want to get me to show up at church, I challenge you to come up with like Buddy Christ equivalent and reinvoke the Catholicism WOW campaign, and I'll show up
for funsies. I'd show up
for the T-shirt.
There are a lot of interesting things in this movie too that are still true. I mean, essentially, it's kind of hilarious in a way that one part of the movie was the company Mubi that had all the characters in the restaurants and was essentially a stand-in for Disney, right?
Yeah.
And this movie was owned essentially by Disney.
Yeah, that was a pretty great flex, and like I think that's the hat that Silent Bob is wearing, Mubi the cow.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point that Kevin Smith made with humor is that idolatry through consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, the concept that you can like a thing and you still can criticize it and make fun of it, and you ought to be able to. Because I thought I'd read that he was Christian at least at the time of making this movie. I don't know if he was Catholic, but he was Christian at least at the time of making this movie. So the idea that you can subscribe to this thought pattern and still be able to like question and talk about it, and it not be this whole like you must think exactly the way these people say, otherwise you are bad or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. As someone who got in a lot of trouble in Catholic school, these ideas and these concepts would have had you sitting right next to me.
Oh yeah,
in detention. So
if not expelled, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Enough about that. Fantasy world building.
I like it. I think it's so layered and intertwined. I mean, all these worlds sort of run together. The whole premise is that they were chasing after, what are they trying to do? They're trying to find, they're trying to get all the good weed in or they're trying to sell weed to, was it the town like where the Brat Pack was from?
Right. Well, where all the Brat Pack movies were set.
I think Jay and Silent Bob, their setup, their shtick really carries a majority of Kevin's films.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I love the integration too. It was fairly Catholic based in in the discussion of religion, but how they branch off into actual mythology, right? So they bring up serendipity, who's a muse. Is that in the Bible?
I don't believe so. And I wrote down the same thing when I was like, yeah, they did like Christian mythology mixed with like Greek mythology,
right?
Mixed with, I think, and if someone knows better, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Jewish mysticism, because I think golems come from like Jewish mythology.
Ooh,
and like
good catch.
the golem monster thing. I think it was supposed to be a golem. It was a mix of that.
The muses, Dante kind of is the one who kind of pulled the muses into Christianity in a way. Basically expressing that the Greek and Roman muses, the concept of the muses were
divine inspiration.
Right. Kind of like they were talent given by God.
Let's take that idea and adopt that too.
Right.
we took Easter, right. We took Christmas. Let's take that idea too.
Dante did a lot of like in his work where he had like invocations to the muses as being, God's divine inspiration.
Interesting.
That's very interesting because I'd also never heard of Azrael being a muse. Is that in a mythology, Kelly? Do you know? Is that in your bank?
What do you mean as?
Azrael. As a muse?
Like the demon Azrael. Because he claimed to be...
He never appears...
That's why he didn't fight in the war. It was
right. Azrael was never in the Christian Bible. So Azrael doesn't exist in the Christian Bible. He exists he exists in the Judaism... where he is like the angel, right? He's the angel of death in Jewish and Islamic traditions.
Yeah.
Fascinating. We're just learning so much today, guys.
Yeah.
I thought, so from a fantasy building world, as ridiculous as this entire movie is, I really was just entertained all the way through. Just because you have, obviously I didn't know that Azrael came from Jewish, lore, although I had recognized the name, as pretty profound in the demonic, storytelling that I've read. I was fully entertained, with this fantasy building. You have God who's referenced as a man and a woman, or a male and a female in this story. Everybody has their own opinions. You have Chris Rock, and it's hard to look at his character and take him seriously, but he really added some depth.
Was it his nipples?
No, it was not his nipples.
That's why he lost me. I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting. It wasn't Alan Rickman's Ken doll body?
No.
No.
I like Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman can show up with pants off anytime.
But to have like a 13th apostle and, basically say that he was left out because he was black. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought it covered quite a lot in a short amount of time. And it wasn't the most unrealistic bullshit that you've ever heard in your life. And the story flowed nicely.
Yeah.
God was a skee ball fanatic. Who knew? 5 for fantasy. I was entertained all day.
Or for 120 minutes, whatever the
120 minutes, yeah.
What did you give it, Jonathan?
I'll give it a 5. I like this one. I like the idea of the journey. Like, even though I don't think we got to see anything truly
groundbreaking,
like in terms of like special effects, or like we didn't go to like a different plane of existence. I didn't doubt that plane of existence existed, if that makes sense. Like, it was seeing the apostle fall from the sky. You're like, oh, he came from somewhere. I don't even think I questioned like where the heck he came from.
Nope, he came. He was ours.
He was just there. Yeah. So I thought it was neat. I would have liked to have seen had a little bit more time spent with Janine Garofalo.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, it was strange. She just had the one bit appearance.
Yeah. What do you think about the world building, Kelly?
I think it was decent. I gave it a 4. I think Kevin Smith blended a lot of interesting elements together. Some of it didn't really make sense. Some of it was kind of that quirky Kevin Smith. That's a funny little bit that he gives a character like Azrael coming into the house and cranking the air conditioning down, just little things like that make the characters kind of feel more fleshed out. I think that where there was a little bit of stumbling was in some of the story not making real good sense as far as things put together. You know, the whole concept of the last scion and that kind of stuff. I don't think it really worked very well, but overall, I think it made for a good movie, and I think it was a good structured world and good elements that blended together. Just a few hiccups.
Yeah, I think that the world building was interesting. I liked all the different lores being kind of brought in and meshed together. I thought that was well done. I also really liked, and this isn't new to Dogma, but I always like it in books that deal with like the idea of evil and good or heaven and hell or whatever. I like it when there's kind of this contest of wills between the two sides, and when there's loopholes and legalese and like, I don't know if I'd call it political intrigue as much as it is just this like, I don't know, almost like a chess game between the sides. I like that aspect of it. So for me, it was a 4 for the whole world building aspect of this movie. I thought it was fun. I like that aspect of it. What do we think about the romance?
Oh man, there was no romance in this. There was quick building friendship and alliances. You felt them mostly care about each other, right? Especially Jay and Silent Bob. Like, that's the best romance you've ever seen in your entire life. Those guys love each other, and I love that for them. But like traditional romantic speaking, that's like a 1.
You didn't think you didn't think that Jay was trying to woo throughout the whole movie? The whole deal was we'll take you.
He didn't woo. I just said there was no romance.
We'll take you there, but we gotta bang kind of thing, you know? And then they made the deal right away to have a banging.
I didn't think about banging. Good job.
Yeah, except he gets to drive. And then I love that. That's one of my favorite parts. What gear are you in? Now there wasn't a whole bunch of there's nothing romantic unless slapstick sexual advances that didn't age well. If that's your idea of romance, then sure. But we'll give it a 2 for that.
Oh wow. Okay. Kelly?
I think I agree with Ashley. The only real romance that was going on is the Jay and Silent Bob bromance.
Hear, hear.
And I guess maybe there was some kind of a bromance between Loki and Bartleby. But yeah, I think as far as like real romance goes, it was a 1.
Yeah.
What does he call him? His hetero life mate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the romance for me up at question marks. I think the only thing remotely romance I got out of it was like Loki and Bartleby's dysfunctional romance with God. Like the conversation they had with where I think it was Bartleby and Bethany were having the conversation about their exes, and Bartleby was talking about God like his ex. I think that's what got me thinking about it. It basically Loki and Bartleby are jilted exes of God, and God doesn't want him back, but they're like still showing up with the boombox and showing up at the door and stalking God at work. I'm like, does God need help? Does God need a restraining order against these guys? Because it's not healthy. So yeah, 0. If 0 is an option.
Sure.
Yeah. Spice.
Oh, there was spice. I don't think any of us will forget Alan Rickman in that state. I know I was changed after that. I didn't even know who Alan Rickman was at the time. I was young. Forgive me. There was a lot of spicy things. Was it appropriate spice? Is it all jokes that held up today? Probably not. It was entertaining spice. Like a 2.5.
I agree. There was spice. There was we can all talk about Alan's strategically placed nub, as well as the muse's dance off there, a little spicy dance she had going on there.
Yeah, Salma Hayek. Oof.
The idea that Jay was at the clinic to hook up because the he thought it was a much more reasonable opportunity. The odds were ever in his favor. The deal to get some action, even when the world was coming to an end, he was taking off his pants. So yeah, I think
it was very prophetic.
Yeah, I think he was ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna give it like 3.5. 3.5. Kelly, did you pick up any spice vibes?
No, not really. I think the best thing, I think Ashley was pretty much on point. The only real thing that was there was, the teasing of Alan Rickman and Salma Hayek's little striptease-ish dance.
What was your rating there, Kelly?
So a 2. Mari?
I will go with a 2 because of Alan Rickman and Salma Hayek. Like, they can both get it. Yes, 100%. Like, the acting may have not been there for me, but I love them both. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm just like, the same year this came out, The Mummy came out, and that had such a different place in my heart. I'm just like, I can't believe these both came out at the same time, same year. So
such a wild time.
1999 was a wild time, yeah. Who knew? The last question, the catch you by surprise question, Ash.
Every time.
Is this a kissing movie?
Is it a kissing movie? Listen, if Jay wasn't mildly in love with Bethany, in the only way that Jay can be, would Jay and Silent Bob have traveled with her on this arguably insane quest to stop 2 angels from entering a church and ending humanity? I don't know that the answer to that is no. And so for that reason, I think it's a kissing book.
Okay.
Interesting.
You like how I got there?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, until you said what you said, I was gonna say nah, but I would say, thinking back further, like if we take Jay and Silent Bob out of the story, Bethany's dead. So their quest, and the reason they were drawn to the clinic, was one of love or
lust
of some sort of satisfaction of their own desire, their own wicked intent. So I would say the story doesn't get past the splits without Jay and Silent Bob, and because of their quest for lust, I would say, this is a kissing book. If you would ask me that 10 minutes ago, though, I probably would have said no. Thanks, Ash.
I live to serve.
Kelly, what do you think?
Yeah, Kelly, what do you think?
I mean, I have to say no. It's not a kissing book, kissing movie. The plot didn't hinge on any romance.
I think Jay loved her the only way he knew how.
I don't think he loved her at all.
I'm with Kelly. It was a no for me. I mean, the movie had its value. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't think it had a romance-based element to it.
Was there a banging? I
mean, I guess God banged the baby into Bethany.
Alanis
Morissette banged the baby into Bethany, so I guess.
Or was that like did the Metatron bang the baby in, or did God bang the baby in?
I don't know. My assumption was God did it when she healed the wound she had at the end.
That's what I think. So I think that's where I kind of like I maybe got a little lost. 'Cause I thought I thought Alan Rickman like grabbed her in the stomach and was like,
now this is the lesson.
Yeah, which is interesting, because what if she didn't want to?
She did.
Okay.
That was part of her bitterness
of her losing the faith.
Right.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You can see where he stopped paying attention.
No, I like me some ones. I like. I'm not gonna get his name right. What's the actor that I like?
That doesn't narrow it down.
From this movie?
Yeah, Loki.
Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's so cute, like a little puppy dog when he's drunk.
Ben Affleck?
Wait. No. Matt Damon. Ben Affleck snaps. at the end.
Yeah, but you don't really see Loki drunk a whole bunch.
No, just at the end when he cut his wings off and he's human.
Oh, then my
Yeah.
I love that for Matt Damon.
Being a little puppy dog.
No, he had I think he had a lot of fun making this movie.
Maybe. Any final thoughts? How do we feel?
Going back to the 90s movie, so much smoking in this movie.
So, yeah.
Like smoking in the workplace, smoking on the train. I'm just like, wow, interesting how times have changed.
Right? It was the time, like you could go into a restaurant and just sit down and I bet you go on eBay and buy like the McDonald's ashtrays.
Probably.
Kevin, we hope you get your movie back.
Yeah, I would absolutely watch a sequel for sure. Be interesting to see if he did that.
What would you do if you were steering the sequel? What element do you think it needs?
It's going to be hard without Alan.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting if it brought in other religions, not necessarily just the Christianity-based ones. And I understand that that's what Kevin Smith is familiar with because that's what he grew up in. But it would be interesting to have other dogmas and other religions kind of woven in a little bit more centrally to the plot, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of cool.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Then he wouldn't be anchored to like the same
characters
cast. Yeah. I mean, he would have to bring like Jay and Silent Bob in for sure.
Yeah.
Could still bring Chris Rock in.
All right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think that covers it.
All right. So thanks for listening to Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we go, make sure to check the show notes, rate, review, and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. It helps others to find us. Follow us on Instagram at Of Swords and Soulmates or join our Facebook page at Of Swords and Soulmates. Check us out on our website, ofswordsandsoulmates.com, or on YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest with the same username. If you'd like to offer a suggestion for a future episode, reach out to us, give us your opinion, etc., please do so. If you want to read along with us as we prep for a new episode, follow us on Goodreads at Of Swords and Soulmates or for chapter-by-chapter interaction on the Fable app at the Of Swords and Soulmates Book Club. And then we also have a tome account under the Of Swords and Soulmates name where you can find us as well. And last but not least, we hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for our next episode where we'll be discussing Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame, a queer novella for Pride Month by Neon Yang. Bye!